Good Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Of course, you have your news headlines coming up on this hump day. We have a message from my book, Word That You Is to Live By, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you before my conversation with Dr. Jamie Wagner, Clinical Associate Professor of Pharmacy Practice at the University of Mississippi School of Pharmacy, discussing the state of the COVID pandemic and the importance of vaccines. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In international news, explosions rock Crimea in suspected Ukrainian attack. Explosions and fires ripped through an ammunition depot in Russian-occupied Crimea on Tuesday in the second suspected Ukrainian attack on the peninsula in just over a week, forcing the evacuation of more than 3,000 people. Russia blamed the blast in the village as an act of sabotage without naming the perpetrators. Separately, the Russian business newspaper quoted residents as saying plumes of black smoke also rose over an air base in Crimea. Ukraine stopped short of publicly claiming responsibility for any of the blasts, including those that destroyed 9 Russian planes at another Crimean air base last week. Russia seized the Crimean Peninsula in 2014 and has used it to launch attacks against Ukraine in the war that began nearly 6 months ago. If Ukrainian forces were behind the explosions, that would represent a significant escalation in the war. Such attacks could also indicate that Ukrainian operatives are able to penetrate deeply into Russian-occupied territory. In another reported act of sabotage, Russia's TASS news agency quoted the FSB security agency as saying Ukrainian operatives blew up 6 high-voltage transmission towers earlier this month in another area of Russia close to Ukraine. The Kremlin has demanded that Kyiv recognize Crimea as part of Russia as a condition for ending the fighting, while Ukraine has vowed to drive Moscow's forces from the peninsula on the Black Sea. Videos posted on social media show thick columns of smoke rising over raging flames, and a series of explosions could be heard. The Russian Defense Ministry said a power plant, electrical lines, railroad tracks, and apartment buildings were damaged. Crimea's regional leader said 2 people were injured and more than 3,000 evacuated from 2 villages. In what may have been retaliation for the attacks in Crimea, Russian warplanes fired missiles at a military airfield 87 miles west of Kyiv, damaging a runway and vehicles, Ukrainian officials reported. Crimea is a popular summer destination for Russian tourists, and last week's explosions at Crimea's airbase sent sunbathers on beaches fleeing as flames and pillars of smoke rose above the horizon. Ukrainian officials warned Tuesday that Crimea would not be spared the ravages of war. Rather than a travel destination, Crimea occupied by Russians is about warehouse explosions and a high risk of death for invaders and thieves, the Ukrainian presidential advisor said on Twitter. In national news, Jill Biden tests positive for COVID-19, has mild symptoms. First Lady Jill Biden tested positive for COVID-19 and was experiencing mild symptoms, the White House announced on Tuesday. President Joe Biden continues to test negative after recently recovering from the virus, but will wear a mask indoors for 10 days as a precaution. The Bidens have been vacationing in South Carolina since August the 10th, and the 71-year-old First Lady began experiencing symptoms on Monday. Jill Biden, like her husband, has been twice vaccinated and twice boosted with the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. She has been prescribed the antiviral drug Paxlovid and will isolate at the vacation home for at least 5 days. Close contacts of the First Lady have been notified. Her communications director said in a statement she is currently staying at a private residence in South Carolina and will return home after she receives 2 consecutive negative COVID tests. The president tested negative for the virus on Tuesday, the White House said, but would be wearing a mask indoors for 10 days. He visited Washington on Tuesday to sign the landmark climate change and health care bill in the afternoon before continuing to his home in Delaware. He recovered from a rebound case of the virus on August the 7th. In more national news, average U.S. gasoline price falls 45 cents to $4.10 a gallon. The average U.S. price of regular grade gasoline plummeted 45 cents over the past 3 weeks to $4.10 per gallon, says the Associated Press. Industry analysts said that the continued decline comes as crude oil costs also remain low. The average price at the pump is down $1 over the past 9 weeks, but it's 85 cents higher than it was a year ago. Nationwide, the highest average price for regular grade gas was in San Francisco Bay Area at $5.36 per gallon. The lowest price was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at $3.38 per gallon. And finally, in business news, Walmart deal with Paramount gives members streaming perks. Walmart Incorporated said Monday it has signed a deal with Paramount Global to offer the entertainment company's streaming service as a perk to subscribers of the discounted shipping subscription service. The move is part of an effort by the nation's largest retailer to better compete with Amazon's Prime membership program, which offers an array of perks. Starting in September, subscribers to Walmart Plus will have access to the Paramount Plus Essential Plan, which includes ads and offers original dramas such as 1883 and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, along with others. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Wednesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. The great thing about the race of life is that all of us can be winners. You just have to work hard, persevere, and not let the distractions of the day slow you down. Keep going and win. Have an amazing Wednesday. We have part of my conversation coming up with Dr. Jamie Wagner in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Entertainment Spotlight. Dr. Jamie Wagner, Clinical Associate Professor of Pharmacy Practice at the University of Mississippi School of Pharmacy, rejoined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about where we are with the COVID pandemic. Here's a bit of our conversation.
As we have kind of gone through these things, right? Last year we thought, the worst was behind us. We were returning the page on COVID, and now we're seeing, of course, the cases going up again. What do the high number of COVID cases tell us about where we are now when it comes to the pandemic?
Cyrus, that's actually a really good question. And like you said, it just seems like everything is still dominated by COVID, and we can't just seem to escape it right now. But, I think one thing to keep in mind is that the virus doesn't want to go away. And so as we continue to be around each other and have still a good chunk of the population, especially in Mississippi, not be vaccinated, it just makes it easier for the virus to spread. And as the virus keeps spreading, it keeps mutating to try to stay alive. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, is this Omicron variant that is currently the prevalent strain across the entire U.S. It's very, very, very highly transmissible, meaning that it only takes a little bit of the virus to be able to go from one person to the next, versus some of our earlier variants, like the alpha and the beta. It was a little bit harder for that to transmit over to somebody. And so the virus is just making itself a lot more transmissible now.
Dr. Wagner, does it surprise you that with all the information we have out there, especially here in our home state of Mississippi, does it surprise you that people are still hesitant to get the vaccine?
Honestly, it does. And really, quite frankly, I understand everybody, it's their own choice and stuff. For me personally, it's really more about, it's not you, it's the person next to you or that person's family, and starting to care about other people around you.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll get on tomorrow with more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today, and let's go make it a great one.